This video is going to show the next step in getting ready for the screen print. And what you're going to be doing now is what are called color separations. Color separations are where you take an image and break it into its component colors. In this case, there's going to be 3. Okay, so you remember this from class. This is based on that hamburger wrapper that I showed you in class. What I did with it is I used some colored pencils and I added new areas of color. And it's a little hard to make out even in person, but the yellow is a new color, and the brownish red is a new color. So now I have 3 colors. Black is 1, yellow is 2, and the red is 3. And each one of those will become a separate screen. So make several copies of your collage and color on them until you work out a design that you like. Okay? What you do with this then is trace the yellow onto a separate sheet of paper and trace the red onto a separate sheet of paper. In the shop, we have tracing paper, a big roll. And this sheet of tracing paper, if you can read the dimensions, is 11 by 15 inches. That's a very important measurement because that is also the size of the paper that you're going to be making the print on. Okay, and that's what we call a quarter sheet, by the way. What I did on this sheet of paper, at least on the ones I'm going to use, is that I made a line here and here that are 1.5 inches from the left edge and 1.5 inches from the bottom. Okay, and that's important because those 2 lines are going to help you set up the position of the image on the paper when you print. Okay, then what I did is I traced all of, in this case, the red areas of the image onto a sheet of paper. These shapes, I'll back up a little bit, are all of the areas that I colored in red on here, okay? But only the areas I colored in red. And this includes places where the red overlaps the yellow and the places where the red overlaps the black. That's really important because that's going to allow the colors to overlap in the print, okay? I was careful to measure out the whole 8 by 10 picture plane, and I was very careful when I traced this in pencil to make sure that I was following the shapes exactly so that things lined up, because many of these shapes along here, for instance, and along here, they line up with elements that are in the black part of the collage, and I want to make sure that they line up when it prints. You'll notice too that I put little X's on those shapes. The X means that that shape is going to be a shape that's going to be where the color goes. So that's going to be a shape that prints, and you'll see why that's important when we actually get ready to print. Then the last step, and this is all of the yellow shapes, the last step was to color in the shapes black. And all the shapes that I put X's on, which I did here as well, I then colored in black. That's why the X's help, because it reminds you where things go. But where there's black here, there's yellow here. So again, it's a little hard to see. But what I end up with is a black positive image for my collage. So this will make one screen. A black positive image for the yellow. And once I color this in, a black positive image for the red. Now, just because I used yellow and red does not mean that I have to print yellow and red. It was just two colored pencils that I had handy. You can also use Sharpie markers. The colored pencils have a little advantage in that you can see them when you draw over the black toner on your printout. It's hard to see the Sharpie when you draw over the toner. And as you can see, if you look really close, you can see the yellow over the toner. It's a little bit rough on here. Everything got cleaned up and made precise on the tracings. What that's going to do is that's going to give you three images. Each of them is black, but each of them tells you where you're going to print a different color on a different screen. Each of them has overlaps, so some of those areas on the yellow layer that I showed you overlap the red, and they overlap the black, and sometimes they overlap both. Same thing for the red, overlaps the black sometimes, the yellow sometimes, and both sometimes. And the black overlaps everything. And wherever you have overlapping color, you get a new color. So that's why we use a transparent ink instead of an opaque ink, because with just 3 screens, we can make 8 colors. And then when you add in the split fountains, which I'll explain later, you get a lot more color. So this is the next step, and you're going to see a printing demo in class next, and then you'll be able to print your first color, and then we'll go on to the second color and the third, and we'll be done. But after you've got your collage done and we've looked at it in class, this is the next step to developing your image, and next class after next, you're going to have this done. Thanks. Bye.